The NFL awards its #1 draft choices to the lowest-ranking team in the league. It doesn't do this out of compassion or guilt. It's done for mutual survival. They understand that the league can only be as strong as its weakest team. Good morning, judges and classmates. Kelly and I will be representing the negative side and are firmly opposed to eliminating affirmative action in the university application process. Affirmative action has ensured the equal opportunity of many minority groups in an area where they have not been statistically or historically on equal footing. It has promoted a diverse environment where students from many different backgrounds are given the chance to succeed. Affirmative action, once again, is defined by Merriam-Webster as an active effort to improve the employment or educational opportunities of members of minority groups and women, or a similar effort to promote the rights or progress of other disadvantaged persons. This policy has raised the number of minorities with a bachelor's degree or higher by 54% since 1965, according to Newsweek, and increased the percentage of minorities in colleges significantly. Kelly and I see no reason to dispose of it. There are many ways in which society is unequal today, and which cannot change without institutional help. Past historical discrimination severely limited access to educational opportunities and job experiences, which means that many minorities grew up in lower socioeconomic brackets and have not been afforded the same educational opportunities as their richer peers. Ostensible measures of merit may well be biased towards the same groups who are already empowered. The value placed on high SAT scores, which can be difficult to achieve even with paid tutors, extra courses, and freedom of not having to work a job in addition to school in order to economically support a student's family, is one example. Some colleges count an A in an AP class as a 4.5 for GPA, and given that intercity schools, which are predominantly Black and Latino, usually offer fewer AP classes, this is another advantage of the socioeconomically privileged. Regardless of overt principles, people in positions of power are more likely to hire people that they already know, or people from similar backgrounds, or both, considering that people are almost universally more comfortable with who and what they're familiar with. This means that racism may not change on its own. Statistically, it hasn't. According to the ACLU, white men make up 43% of the Fortune 2000 workforce, but hold 95% of management jobs. According to the Department of Labor, blacks are twice as likely as whites to be unemployed. In 2000, according to the Census Bureau, black women earned an average of $458 per week to the weekly $523 for white women and $717 for white men. Latino women's income was even lower, at $373 per week. In 2011, the National Urban Institute sent equally qualified pairs of applicants to apply for entry-level jobs and coached them to display similar levels of articulativeness and enthusiasm. The white men received 45% more job offers than their black co-testers, and 52% more than their Latino ones. These broad and blatant discrepancies require an institutional approach such as affirmative action to level the playing field. Affirmative action also means that a college can consider a student's gender identity or sexual orientation in application, and they should. Lesbian and gay students are 6 times more likely to attempt suicide than heterosexuals, and trans students are 24 times more likely, according to the U.S. Department of Health. LGBT students have a 28% high school dropout rate because of either being kicked out of their homes or constant fear of harassment. On average, gay students hear anti-gay slurs an average of 26 times every school day. In Pennsylvania, there have been 34 incidents of assault on an LGBT student in the past 3 years, severe enough to warrant a criminal investigation. Just as racial and socioeconomic minorities should have their struggles considered by a university, so should LGBT students. I would also like to remind people that there are several factors that go into college admissions. Considering the preference colleges already have for sports stars, applicants from other states, and the children of alumni and donors, it seems prejudiced to point the finger at minorities and say that they're the ones endangering the application potential of middle and lower class white students when minorities face a huge number of obstacles to get there in the first place. Students of lower income families typically have a harder time excelling in schools and on SATs. Students who come from homes that do not typically speak English often don't do as well on reading or writing. Students whose families do not have a history of attending higher universities will not have the advantage of legacy or preference for family members of alumni. Students who have been kicked out of their homes for being gay or trans have very little likelihood likelihood of graduating high school at all. If someone's 5'7" and standing in a crowd behind someone who's 5'9", fairness isn't giving both of them 2-inch blocks to stand on. It's giving the shorter one a 2-inch block so he can see too. As the negative, we want affirmative action so that we can better ensure that boost, that fairness, that equality. Affirmative action truly does more to help people than to hinder them. It's important. It's necessary. Please, help us open doors without closing any. Thank you, and vote negative.